Hey folks, in our next episode here, I want to take some time to talk about our experiments with documentation in this project because as anyone who cares anything about engineering or education will tell you, you know, you gotta document what you're doing, otherwise it's just screwing around. Getting students to document their work is a perennial problem. But there are some bright spots, because if a student is going to be in front of their computer the whole time, they have access to a camera, they have access to recording themselves. And more educational apps are coming out that are helping students to be able to digitally record their thoughts, and their projects and the progress on that. And lots of people are developing different methods of coming up with basically an electronic engineering notebook, something that's going to keep track of what students are working on so that at the end, students can have a little portfolio that shows the evolution of their ideas and, a works in progress and the final thing. And our collaboration with Little Singer, we are still experimenting with, what kind of tools we want to use and how we want to use those tools. Something that Tom had been using very frequently was Google Slides. And so we were working on that basic template. And I want to show you the evolution of the engineering notebooks that we developed over the summer. We actually made a different notebook for each of the 3 main weeks. And each time, we made some changes. And I feel that we improved every time, and I think we got better responses from the students each time. And then I want to end with showing you the next iteration of the notebook that I've been working on lately, that we will hopefully start this upcoming school year with. So let's get into this, and in order to do this, I'm going to jump into some fancy screen sharing mode right here. All right. So this here is the first engineering notebook that we used for the first week. And we used some elements from it that Tom had been using with his students throughout the year. The first half of the notebook was meant as a reference that students would fill in over time. So we have vocabulary words. We were making a big focus on using Diné language words. And also some basic robotics words. And over the course of the week, we would try to remember to go back and fill these in when we talked about it. Sometimes we did and sometimes we didn't. So, that was a thing. Something that I really liked here was capturing examples of good images, trying to show the students what we mean when we ask for a good front, top, and right side view, to document well the projects that they're making. You got to communicate that. You have to teach it to the students, or else you can't assume they know how to document their projects correctly. The 5 Diné character traits of leadership is a perennial theme throughout their education at Little Singer. So we put room here for folks to be able to reflect on, how they apply these traits of leadership. So you'll see my reflections here. And also the Diné engineering cycle. There are 4 steps to the Diné engineering cycle, and we ask them just up front, to think about it and reflect on it. And most students didn't, and I regret that we didn't have the time to say, all right, we're all going to take 10 minutes now and sit and fill this out. But with the limited amount of face-to-face time we have, a lot of time that I wanted to take to focus on documentation ended up getting pushed back because if I'm going to be face-to-face with the students, I want to be building with them, and we want to be focusing on that. We also had a hot link to some information to help students connect their hub. I don't know if anyone ever used that. And then for this first week, if you watched the previous vlog episode, I mentioned that I came up with an activity for all 5 days of the week. Expecting to get through all of them, and we didn't. Everything takes longer than you think. And if you design your notebook this way, which I did, it's very obvious to the students when we start getting behind schedule, and I didn't like that. So I've learned my lesson to not assign projects to certain days because, there it is. So on Monday, we were just exploring the Brick Q kit because this summer enrichment program, we were combining the Brick Q kit and the Lego Spike Prime kit. in order to do some really crazy cross builds and learn the basics of robotics. So on Monday, this first day, I wanted to just cover the brick Q kit, get familiar with the parts, and build something that was not robotic. No sensors or actuators, just a structure. And Tom suggested we build shade structures or hogans because that's a big part of Navajo culture. So for each day, we had an introduction where we talk about what we're going to do and what tools we're going to use. Every day had a blank space here for extra notes and resources. And, this is my personal one, so I tried to fill it out with a lot of stuff to show the students, what we were looking for. And then we have the actual challenge, where we have, an example picture and then some ideas and thoughts about what to build. Notice how we're not telling students exactly what to build. It has to look like this and it has to use these pieces. We want to give the students a theme to the challenge and give some helpful suggestions. And we have goals like maximizing the shade space, and we don't want it to fall down easily. But within those goals, there's a huge diversity of possible solutions. So we had kids building all kinds of cool stuff. And then I had a slide for every day where I asked 4 different metacognitive questions. I found that we didn't have the time nor the enthusiasm to answer these questions thoroughly every single day. We did not get a whole lot of responses from the students. And so then we also had a couple pages at the end where you would actually take pictures or videos of your project and then upload it. So you'll see for Monday, I took pictures of my little shade structure and did this on Jamboard, I believe, to get the drawings and the labels and things. And we encouraged our students to do this too, with mixed success. Part of it was technological capability. Some students were really comfortable with using Jamboard or snapping some pictures with their webcam. Others were not. And, then you have to play that balancing game of how much time during our session do we spend teaching kids these other tech skills that are going to help them do this. So that's the basic gist of this first week. You'll see that every day, again, Tuesday, we had a different theme. So yeah, overall, way too much stuff. You see 33 slides? That's outrageous. It was just kind of overwhelming for the students and for me. We didn't have the time to fill this out to our full ability. And yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't like about this, but it was a good first attempt. Second week, we had one big theme that lasted the whole week. And again, we tried to have some vocabulary at the front, which again, we didn't keep going back to revisit, and therefore, I don't know how much good it did. The examples, the visual examples, very good. Again, these same Diné character traits of leadership and the engineering cycle. And so this time around, I just labeled day 1, day 2, day 3. Even then, it's kind of obvious when you start to get off track and off schedule. And being a little bit behind is fine. The project takes as long as it takes. And for educators, it's really hard to figure out, especially in new situations like with COVID and virtual learning, how long is this project going to take? But yeah, with Introduction to Smart Farms, we had at this point already done the virtual field trip with Tyrone Thompson's farm in the Navajo Nation. And we had we watched another video of a farm in New Hampshire from Bill Church. And so we were able to talk about the kinds of tech we saw on the farm, and we decided we wanted to design our own smart farm. So these next couple slides were here to kind of guide questions, guide the thinking of the students. But not many students actually went and filled this out. We talked about it verbally, which was good. And we came up with this list of possible problems to solve. We did this collectively as a group. We all spoke to each other, and then one person, wrote all this stuff out just to kind of get some ideas. And then this time around, we started trying to focus on those 4 steps of the Diné engineering process. So the first one is I am thinking about it. And so we ask students to reflect on, the early stages of that process. With the other steps of the Diné engineering process, we have I am planning it, all right, and using the space to talk about the sketches and, ideas for what kinds of motors and sensors you want to use, working out ideas, making it. That's the second step. And again, I had all these reflective questions, and it was a lot of stuff. Photos and explanations of the project so far, just going and going. It was a lot of stuff. We did have some special guests come in and speak one of the days. We kind of made this up at the last minute. Final days, finishing and documentation. Again, all of this, and you'll see that mine is mostly blank. 26 slides, too much. More students were recording things, but it still wasn't easy to do so, and it still wasn't, super fun, and the kids were, it was easy for them to do that, all right? So week 3, I came back and I was like, you know what, week 3, I'm going to simplify this even more, all right? So week 3, got rid of all the reference stuff at the front, all right? This project was called Protect Our Produce, and it was all about making something that can grab or harvest produce of some kind. And we got right into the challenge, right? And then we spoke just a little bit about real-life examples that can work as inspiration for us. So we talked about various harvesting tools that people might already be familiar with, the fact that some robots can actually, be used to harvest certain kinds of produce. And then we took a little detour and talked about biomimicry, because it's a really cool topic, especially when you're talking about robotics. And this just helped the students get a little bit more inspired about how to grasp or pick or capture something, which I thought was really cool. We had a group brainstorming session where everyone together decided, all right, what are our goals going to be? The produce picker should be able to, And by doing that example with students, you're helping them to solidify, all right, this is the goal, this is what I'm trying to make. It helps all the students understand what's actually going on. Then, at the very end, I decided to just have one slide per step of the Diné engineering process. So again, the first one, and I'm not going to pronounce the words in Diné because I can't speak that language, and so out of respect, I'm going to not butcher those words. But the first one, in white, because the white goes along with that step because of the culture, I am thinking about it. And so we asked for devices and sketches and ideas, what's inspiring you. The next one, I am planning it. Device descriptions and pseudocode, what are the steps that you want your robot to actually take. I am making it, so this is where we wanted a work in progress. We wanted to kind of have students stop and capture things halfway through. And this didn't work really well. Students didn't want to take pictures of their pictures of their projects until they were totally done. And, that was challenging. And then the last one, I am testing it. Final device photos and descriptions. And how are you testing it? How are you certain that it works? So this week 3 was only 11 slides, and we got way more documentation out of it. Kids were writing a lot more, they were snapping pictures. It seemed like it wasn't so overwhelming for them. This has been my inspiration for planning this upcoming fall semester's work. And so I've developed, and this is only a first draft, I'm sure it will change, especially in the upcoming weeks as school starts. I've developed the next iteration of a notebook, and I'm trying to design a notebook that is generally a notebook template, basically, that could be applied to any particular project. All right, so again, outlining the challenge right away, making space for additional information or outside inspiration if we want that. Want to make sure that things are connecting to art, science, and math, interdisciplinary. And then for those 4 steps of the Diné engineering process, I added, there's more than one slide per step, but I think that it was necessary. So the first one, I just have 3 big main questions. And I think this is a better following of these engineering steps because you don't even have the idea yet. This is the pre-brainstorming almost, so making sure you understand the goals, making sure you're aware of all the materials, making sure that you know who you can go to for support. That to me is the very, very first step. And we also want to make this so that students can type their answers if they wish to type their answers, or we're going to use the app Flipgrid to allow students to just turn on the app and record a quick video of them answering the questions. And we hope that by integrating a more easily used video component, that more students will be able to speak freely and feel comfortable and feel that it's accessible to just quickly hit a button and make some documentation happen. So for the next one, I am planning it. This one has a lot of meat to it. And then again, we have space for that documentation that they can either type out or record, a video of them talking about it. The next step, I am making it. I'm going to try and push for this halfway check-in of when we're building, it's going to be my responsibility as the educator to look at things and go, all right, you know what? I'd like everyone to pause and let's take some pictures and let's do some documentation. So that's going to be on me to be able to do that. And then the last one, I am testing it. And also reflecting on how I'm testing it. How do I know that it worked? I'm hoping that this works out. And again, I'm comfortable with iteration because as an engineering teacher, that's what you're telling everyone to do all the time anyway. So I know this was really long, but I hope that you enjoyed seeing this and seeing my thought process as I've gone through 4 iterations of online notebooks. And as I've said before, I'm not done. And I'll continue to share the stuff that we come up with throughout the year in the hopes that it can be helpful to someone else. So thanks so much for watching, and have a good day.